Hello and welcome back to the programme. Now, Asians make up a large section of the British population, but for whatever reason, very few feature in professional football. But one woman is trying to change all that. You might never have heard of Shehneela Ahmed, but she has big plans for the English game. Neil Taylor never set out to be a trailblazer, but his background makes him unique. The Swansea fullback's mother is Indian, making him the only British player of Asian heritage playing in the Premier League. It's a surprising statistic and one Shehneela Ahmed is trying to change. She's the first FA-approved Asian female football agent and is on a mission to open up the Premier League to a generation of British Asian talent.
There is talent out there within the Asians. It's basically tapping into it. But here in the UK, that's what's also missing. Because, you know, how many football agents do you see that are Asians? That's the gap. And that is what I'm hoping to try and change.
Asians represent 7.5% of the British population, yet there are only 8 British players with Asian heritage playing in English football's top 4 divisions. One of Ahmed's aims is to change cultural attitudes.
I know when I was growing up, youngsters wanted to play football. Parents always saw that as a hobby, not as a profession. But I'm trying to get the Asian youngsters more involved to become professional footballers and for the Asian families to realise that the football industry is actually a profession.
She also thinks more can be done by the clubs. Liverpool and Chelsea have both launched initiatives to find Asian talent, but few have followed their lead. Ahmed hopes to build better links between communities and clubs.
They get to a certain age, they don't have the right contact in order for them to be referred to an academy or to a club. So what I'm hoping to do is build up a relationship with the clubs, whether it be the Premiership, the Championship, and have that link. If I can spot a talent, it's making a referral, trying to bring the two parties together.
Ahmed's arrival into British football should bring new talent into focus. How long before England's World Cup squad is packed with Asian players is another question. Yes, let's chat about this a bit more, because it is a damning statistic, Nigel. 7.5% of the British population is Asian, yet they're represented by this man, Mr. Taylor here. Is this down to the clubs and where they go looking for talent, do you think?
I don't think it's down to the clubs, really. I mean, you know, great advert for Bend It Like Beckham, but I think the real problem here is that if you're Asian, as we're talking Indian and Pakistani here, not because the other Asian nations are providing plenty of players not homegrown. Yeah. But they're playing cricket and they're playing hockey. Those are the two national games. They are virtually religions for both of those two nations, and they bring them with them when they come over. And it's very difficult to get them out of that. My advice to the clubs, for what it's worth, would be to get into those early days where they're playing their hockey and their cricket and see if they can prize a few away. I'm not sure we have to. I'm not sure it's necessarily a bad thing that there are alternatives. But that's where the talented sports men and women are going at the moment, and that's where they'll stay for the moment. I don't know how else you get them out.
There was a player called Zesh Raymond who was at Fulham, and he was kind of making an impact and ended up falling down the leagues, but he's actually set up a foundation in Bradford to try and help bring people through, and you hope that someone like that can become a role model for these people.
Because during a time when the English FA have been worrying about the lack of homegrown talent in Premier League clubs, maybe Asian communities are a place to look for some untapped talent.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will happen eventually. I think, becoming more of a multicultural society in Britain, and I think over time we will see it happen. Whether it'll be 5 years, whether it'll be 10 years, I don't know, but I think it's inevitable that surely soon someone will break through and kind of open the barriers for more people to play.
But to get that to happen, you probably need it to happen in India and Pakistan. If they had strong football backgrounds and they had a national team, then people would identify with that in the same way they do with their cricketers.
But chaps, I mean, will there ever come a time when maybe 3 or 4 players or even more are of Indian Pakistani heritage in the England World Cup squad?
Why not?
I mean, we're struggling at the moment to find English players to find in our own World Cup squad. We're looking at Adnan Januzaj and people like this. So, I mean, the chances are there for people. You're just waiting for your breakthrough, and they're difficult to come by.
But Nigel, what about that cultural issue that Shehneela mentioned? Because she says that football just isn't seen as a suitable career sometimes by Indian families.
I get that and I understand it. Maybe they should look at the example what they've had with the Olympics, where they actually went out and sought out people who were interested and who were of the right frame. So they were taking tall women who were quite strong, and they made them into rowers.
Looking for athletes.
Looking for athletes. And maybe that's the alternative way of doing it, is to actually go out and find the athletes and then say, well, you could do cricket, or you could, because most young boys are probably, who are good footballers, are probably good at rugby and all the other sports as well, and they make a choice. And what we've got to do culturally is to say to them, yes, you could do cricket, but you could also do that. And then some will make that choice.
It's a very interesting discussion, chaps. Many thanks.